You may know me, I'm the OG rebel. You may know me, I invented heavy metal. You may know me by my first name, Devil. And don't be scared, just dance and put them horns up like lambs in a trance. Used to headbang, yeah, that still works, but now we straight turn shit off with that death torque. Now we straight turn shit up with that death torque. Death torque. And I'll fucking set you free. I can make you live forever. I can get you riches. I can make you three-piece suits out of bitches. I can make you lord over every damn thing. I can make you name the song the whole world sings. Black Magic Galaxy, there's only one king, and that can be you. But I need just one more thing. Check it out. Used to headbang, yeah, that still works, but now we straight turn shit off with that death torque. Death torque. Death torque. Death torque. Used to headbang, yeah, that still works, but now we straight turn shit up with that death torque. Death torque. Death torque. to control you. I am infinity, and I will show you.
What is up, internet? Getting the officially endorsed Twitch music on. Working. So we cut out and so this was that's 8 TPI. That, but yeah, this was a kind of wonky. Except for the screws. Anyway, Craigslist finds picked these up on Sunday. So this is a number 12 and a half. And yeah, that does need to be tightened up just a bit. And I'm probably going to end up having to take this off and actually, with that screw, that's stripped out. I might need to just this one, I just learned with planes, you're going to be more familiar with the 113, because that adjustments of the current adjustment knob that the front and back simultaneously can do something like is not really good if you're wanting to cut, but between these two, I haven't really found any dedicated videos on YouTube for them. So, working. Do have a bit of an unfortunate, looks like a dent or something right there. So, I may need to take a hammer to that just to set these aside. Make some bookends. It's always good. It's going to be a bit of a warm day. And actually, immediately following this stream, I'm going to be heading to the local army. How do I want to hold this? Because it's here, chisels. And I'm going to want my chisel hammer. Something fell. What was that? Don't really need those at the moment. A little bit away from the mark right there. A little bit further out. Alright, that's about as far as I can go with that chisel. The smell of oak. Might have gone into the... I'm pretty close to through. Then I entered into the on the dovetail marker, which is... But yeah, that went out. Yes. Just a hair off there. Occurs to me, get any more regular followers, one for me. I need a bit more of a following and before I really start worrying about doing giveaways. So I think I can manage that. Way over there, off in the corner, just my other tablet, use that as a camera. And after the holidays, so the 4th is coming up. What's that, tomorrow, right? So it's about a 30-foot cable that I can use to extend, hopefully, my webcam. And from the reviews, it's got some pretty good results with webcams. But it's enough power to the USB device that you're using. And that should hopefully to a computer storm shelter from old inside all the components. Dovetails, we have them. So we've got our final depth line angle. Right on the line. It's actually kind of a strange day. I don't, normally before I go on, Timber Anew is streaming, so I didn't catch him yesterday, and he pretty much streams every morning, or at least it's morning my time. I didn't see him on today, so don't know if he's taking a break or what. Trying to get down to final depth. Really don't want to be using the chisel or the hammer to get across here. Just try and keep everything, make sure your chisel's sharp and just use whatever force you got. Maybe wiggle it back and forth if you're getting stuck. Just really light cuts. Nothing too aggressive. Shavings really is what you want. And the underside, the middle of the joint, can actually be a little bit hollow on the end grain. So if it's like kind of angled down from each side, that's fine, because you're not getting a whole lot of strength from the end grain, even with the glue. I mean, most of the strength of the joint is going to be resisting it pulling out this way with the dovetails, or the long grain to long grain that you're going to get from the gluing on these faces right here. So this end grain doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to be flush against the pins. This red oak is really, really porous. Yeah, you can see the holes in the end grain. Bunch of little straws going all the way down. And after I started this, we got all the books on the bookshelf. And it turns out we don't need any bookends, actually, so I will only be making one of these, I think. And it's more for my benefit, practicing dovetails and practicing mortise and tenon. Which, honestly, you can never have too much practice with that. Okay. Looking good there. For now, we'll still need to clean these up quite a bit later. Just preventing tear out here mostly. Just getting a little angle on the ends, on the edges, to prevent tear out as I'm going through. Just get that edge right in the depth line. Cut up at about a 45. That gives me a nice little angle to, you know, just make sure that as I'm going through the other end, it doesn't rip out the end grain. Just got to be able to get it in there. definitely going to be a warm day today. I'm already sweating profusely. And I want to touch up my edge just real quick. Not really getting a burr. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need to get out the plates again, unfortunately. I'm not sure how I messed this up, but I did. I really need to go through the whole thing again. Seems like I might. I think I need to reestablish this bevel. Seems to have rounded off, maybe. It's not a great way of starting the day. And we're not, trying to see if I need to re-square this edge of it. Yeah. So we're a little bit skewed. You might be able to see it's not quite square. So put more pressure on the right side. Try and get this thing back where it's supposed to be. Hopefully I don't mess this thing up too much. How the heck did that happen? My combination square is somehow too tight to loosen. That probably didn't make any sense, did it? Pliers. I've got pliers around here somewhere. Actually, I've never seen that before, so what I'm doing here is just checking against this because it's square, so I can kind of see how far off I am. All right. Seems to be fairly straight across now, but no, I've got, looks like I made a chip in there somehow. Okay. This is part of sharpening that I am not really good at, is trying to get it square across. And I'm pretty sure this is not the most entertaining thing to be watching, guys, so I do apologize, but it has to be done sometime. Okay. I think what happened is I just, over time, rounded over the bevel. And that's not necessarily a 100% a problem all the time. It's okay to have the bevel being a little bit rounded. But I think I made it too round. So we got it a little bit flatter, I think. Back to the strap. And the strap is actually not perfectly flat, and the leather will flex a bit. So it's going to, the strap itself is going to put a bit of a round on the bevel. All right, got a little bit of a burn now. Let's see if that made it any sharper. Does seem to be cutting a little bit better. Paring across end grain on red oak is not my favorite type of cut to make, to be quite honest. Well, just working with porous woods in general, I prefer tight grain, tight closed grain. Maple. Poplar is really fun to work too. And it's cheap. Kind of a low spot in the middle is what I'm aiming for. Yeah, that's cutting nicely. Tend to have a bit of a build-up in the corners. Can be difficult to get the waste out of there. It's getting there, folks. Slowly getting there. Dovetails are not something you want to rush. Unless you're really good at them and you've got a lot of them to do. Then I guess maybe. But neither of those conditions are the case for me, so I can take all the time I want. Now let's make some pins. So the way I'm going to do that So we'll flush it up over on this side. And not quite flush. Actually, I want to make that a little bit higher. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on. But just trying to make this a bit coplanar with this next piece that I'm doing. I'm pretty sure I haven't explained this very well, but so I want to have this resting up on top of this piece and just this so it can overlap and make my marks. Get this all nice and flush. And then mark the pins from the tails. Make sure the vise is nice and tight. You want to mark these pretty deep because they can be difficult to see in the end grain. Especially if you don't have good lighting, which I don't have good lighting. Whew. All right. Now, do I have a sharp pencil? That's not a pencil, that's an extension cord. Pencil, pencil, pencil. Maybe on the table saw. Nope, I'm hosed. Okay. Look at this guy, so that's coming out. And this is going to be probably impossible for you guys to see with this resolution, but I've got okay. Okay, I'll be able to find that, I think. And yeah, just gotta get to kind of move your head around until you can see the lines. So like, I can see it from right about here, just where the light's reflecting off of it. But if I go here, not so much. So that's where I'm standing right now. And I'm wanting to cut these straight away. And let's actually... Yep. You know what? Marking the whole thing. The inside of the corner won't matter, and the outside I'll plane down. But I need to know where to stop cutting. I'm not even going to be able to see that line. I don't know why I'm bothering. Okay. We'll use the mirror trick, and hopefully that'll be sufficient to keep us at 90 degrees. And you don't want to be looking at my arm. Okay, let's go this way. Okay, so we stay on the waist side of the line, so I can see the line right here. Start at the back, work our way to the front. And now I've got a nice little curve. We'll watch the reflection, keep everything kind of lined up in the reflection of the saw plate. And saw down the face. And level it off. We'll skip that angle, stay at the same angle. Remember to always stay on the waist side. That's why we mark the waist side. All right. Now we switch angles. Still on the inside, so the waist side. Not a talkative crowd today, but that's okay, guys. I still appreciate you hanging out with me. And if you're liking what you're seeing, you want to come back, don't forget that there's a little follow button. Looks like a heart. Love to see you all again. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday. And sometimes I come on just on odd times because I feel like it. All right, there's that one. It goes with this guy, and I'm going to use this temporarily. And one more on the half pin. Alright, I'm going to step over here just real quick, make sure I'm not missing any notifications. Yep. No notifications this week. No, this one goes here, this one goes here. Okay. Don't mix up your tails and your pins. That is bad juju, my friends. Okay. Which way is this going? Combination squares not needed at the moment. Okay, now we play Find the Lines. There we go. So let's do it this way. Oh, almost forgot. Gotta get my depth. Gotta know where to stop cutting, folks. There we go. And that marker, if you weren't here last stream, is set to the actual thickness of these boards, which are all the same at the moment. Love that oak smell. Always double and triple check. Make sure you're cutting on the right side of the line. Sometimes I don't, and it never turns out well. And one last one. One last cut. Now, I don't think I did the greatest job of keeping these lines vertical. But we can fix that with the chisel, I think. Okay, now I do want to make sure that I keep the pin board with the matching tail board. So don't rearrange those. let's call this one A, and this one A. This will be B, and this will be B. Yeah, let's go that way. Let's get a bigger chisel. How about the really big chisel? That's not going to work. So what do we got here? We got 3/4. Touch up the edge on this. All right, we'll start a little bit away from the line. And because these are flaying out kind of away from where I'm going, I can go straight down. I don't have to worry about the angle just yet. It is a warm day. Not sure exactly how warm it is, but it's pretty hot here in the garage. I think that's about as far as I'm going to go with that guy. This one, it looks like I didn't cut all the way to the line with the saw, but that'll be okay. It's maybe 1/16 off. We can manage with the chisels. Get that fixed up. Probably more aggressive than I should have been with that cut on towards the line. Could end up compressing the fibers and make a gap in the joint when it fits together, which is probably going to end up happening anyway because I'm not all that good at dovetails. Honestly, I'm not all that good at woodworking, so my joints always have gaps. I'm getting better. Slowly I am getting better. Which is really the whole point of this. For me, anyway. It's not the end product. It's the development of a skill. I think the ideal state, at least for me, for woodworking, is when the project frustrates me consistently, and at the end I'm amazed that it worked. That's about the level I want to be at. Distracted bull. I'm doing well. I don't know how long you've been on, but appreciate you being here. I'm sorry my my chat's over on the other side of the bench right now. Actually, you know what? I can move that. I wasn't getting a whole lot of people talking to me. You're the first person to say hello. All right, so maybe, yeah, I can see that better. Yeah, and lurking's fine. I just don't, when you're lurking, I can't see who's on unless they talk to me. I don't have lunch breaks where I work because I'm retired. I eat whenever I feel like it. Take breaks whenever I feel like it. And I work in the workshop whenever I feel like it. And I take cross-country trips when I can afford it and when I feel like it. Just usually not that often. Yeah, well, I fortunately made just the right mistakes in my life that I don't have to work anymore. Which is pretty nice at my age. Most folks these days pretty much work until the point where they can't work. And some work even longer than that. Don't necessarily say my way is better, but you know, I get to do what I want to now. And I've still got enough vitality in me that I can do some pretty interesting things. I don't have to just kind of sit at home watching TV. Can still do my woodworking. Can still running about 10 miles a week, which is down from what I was running when I was still on active duty. But you know, the roads aren't as nice here, the trails aren't as nice. Yeah, I had a fairly, I'm going to have to confess, I had a fairly easy military life too. So, it wasn't all that enjoyable all the time, but I didn't have to, you know, sleep out in the dirt for the last 14 years of it. Spent the last 14 years behind a desk doing re-enlistments and transfers and helping out with officer appointments. Not a fun job by any means, at least not towards the end of it. It's fun at first. But any job you do for, I'd say, more than 5 years starts to take a toll on you. I'd say we're about halfway through on this side. Very important to get these chips off because they can dig into your work and leave a bunch of scars. Well, you know, eating I found to be very important in life. And the secret is to have fewer bills. You don't have to worry about paying the bills as much if there aren't as many of them. At the moment, I've got just one car payment. So yeah, by the time it's time to buy a new car, you should have the other one paid off. I do regrettably have 3 mortgages. But 2 of those are on income properties, so it's not horrible. They're pretty close to paying for themselves. And in a couple years, they're going to be profit. Next month I'm starting classes, going to get my computer science degree. I'm doing that on the GI Bill, so I'll get paid to go to school. And you really can't beat that. Yeah, no, rental property can be good money, but these are houses in Kansas, so it'll be all right. See, I refinanced one of them in 2012 on a 15-year, so it's going to be 2027. The other one is on its original, which, okay, that house was, I paid $50 for it back in 2005, so that gives you any kind of idea as to what it's going for. But yeah, that was on a 30-year mortgage in 2005, so that's going to be 2035 when that's finally paid off. This side, I do have to watch the angle a bit. I can't just go straight down because it'll end up cutting the pins. And we don't want that. So we just kind of match the angle. And, oh, we're through. Too easy. Oh, I've got property managers. They take 10% of the collected rent. Unfortunately, you do have to keep an eye on them because they do not necessarily keep the properties in good condition. A couple years ago, actually I had to fire a property manager because they were hiding a hazardous condition, or they were at least failing to notify me. So one of the contractors that we had to go repair a door had put on the invoice that noted on the invoice that there was a safety hazard on the property, and the property manager wouldn't give me the invoice, which I kind of needed for tax purposes. So yeah, when I found out about it, and they'd been there was an issue with some money that had been withholding for repairs on a fence. And so yeah, pretty much we just had enough of them, and we decided to find another property manager. Which we eventually did. But our old property manager appears to have been poisoning the well, so to speak. And we had a really difficult time actually finding one. So once that house is paid off, I'm going to be selling it. Are you talking of the surprise safety hazards distracted bowl? Because they did not make me happy at all. But yeah, that particular town, I would not recommend having rental property in, just because the property managers are terrible. Now the other house I've got is on the other side of the state. And I've got an awesome property manager there. Which is good, because in that particular town, the real estate market, you can't sell to save your life. Really strong rental market, but nobody's buying. There were houses there that I'm making one set of bookends, because I actually don't need any of them. Yeah, there are houses in that town that have been on the market for years. So yeah, selling just doesn't look like a practical option. But the other one I think I can offload. And I bought that one in 2000 originally, so the value has gone up. So yeah, I think once I get the other one paid off, just sell it, cash out, maybe build myself a nice little cottage on the lake. I've already got the lake, so I just need to build a cottage. That one I'm not so worried about. The other house that won't sell. because damn thing was built in 1916, so it's sturdy. It's not going to just fall apart overnight. And like I said, I've got a good property manager there, so it's getting taken care of. Repairs are being made. And it gets tenants in there real quick. Had a set of tenants who ducked out on me without proper notice, and you know, it was rented again within a week. You know, the whole real estate, you know, landlord renting gig seemed like a really, really good idea back in the day. And I wish I'd never gotten into it. There can be good money in it, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of heartache. I'm almost through, I think. There we go. Put a nice little gouge in the bench top too. And let's go this way. Yeah, I think it goes that way. It's going to be a little bit of work still. Get those pared down. Yeah, it's not something I recommend. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of liability. If you do ever decide to go into it, my recommendations are as follows. 1, look at it as an investment, okay? Don't put your home, a place that you live and care about, a place that you have lived and you do care about, as a rental property. Because it will be destroyed. Because tenants don't care. And number 2, don't go into debt to buy a rental property. If you're going to have a rental property, pay cash for money to cover repairs. Because there will be repairs. I mentioned I had done a refi back in 2012. I actually had to take out home equity to repair termite damage and completely replace the siding and put in new windows. So that was about 20 grand. In the long run it worked out because, let's see, had that loan, so yeah, I had to refinance that in 2003 as part of a divorce agreement to get the ex-wife off off the hook for it. So yeah, I think the original mortgage was like 8%, 8 1/4, something like that. From 2000, dropped it down in 2003 to about 6 1/4, and 2012 I think I got it to about 4. And on top of that, 15-year. So essentially paying the same amount, but dropped 5 years off of it and got 20,000 cash back. Very strange how that worked out. Now, sometimes I think I might not even bother starting these streams until noon because no one shows up until about then. First half of the stream, I'm pretty much by myself. Though here next month, I'm going to have to drastically start changing my schedule because as much as I like hanging out with you guys, I got to go to school. Go learn to be a computer scientist. Instead of making things out of wood, I'll be making things out of ones and zeros. Well, not quite, but something like that anyway. That is probably deep enough. And before I forget, I should touch up the edge of this. Oh, I'm not going to forget the wood. Now, I've been into to coding for a long time. Not so much proper programming language, but like scripting, DOS, Bash, that sort of thing. And could not understand woodworking for the life of me until I saw Matthias Wandell's Screw Advanced Box Joint Jig. When I started learning about joinery, it's like, oh, okay. And it's the same sort of concept as like your hacking, in my mind, is taking a system and creating something with it that it wasn't intended to be. So, or something it wasn't originally designed to be. And that's precisely what now appeals to me about woodworking, is I'm taking this tree and I'm turning it into something that is not a tree and not remotely like a tree. I'm using the inherent properties of the wood, the way the grain works, and I'm using, you know, the principles of physics to that of friction and wedging and all that groovy stuff to make the wood hold together in ways that you wouldn't really intuitively expect it to. So yeah, dovetails are awesome, as are while loops and for loops and pretty much any kind of loops. Yeah, one thing I hope to do someday is create some kind of more properly dedicated audio-visual solution for streaming and recording on an individual basis, video recording on an individual basis, because I just don't really like the way that things are set up. I mean, because, okay, home camcorders are not designed for vloggers or, you know, YouTubers or streamers, all right? Webcams are not designed for those. So we kind of have to cobble together solutions which are created by people who really, for the most part, have no idea what we're needing. And sure, the professional stuff, that works great, but you know, it's professional grade. And the amateur, the hobbyist, or the entrepreneur, most of the time isn't going to be able to afford that. So that's something I would like to see. Just a nice, simple hardware solution that you can set up in a couple of minutes. Very, very steep learning curve. Don't have to worry about it too much. Just plug it in and you're set to go. And I'm probably going to end up streaming in evenings because I have morning classes 5 days a week this fall. But I also should have weekends available. I think I have one evening class. I wasn't really paying attention when I signed up for them, to be quite honest. I just really didn't want anything that started at 8 in the morning. So I kind of picked the first schedule that they had open that had no classes before 9 a.m. Not that I have a problem waking up early, it's just I got other stuff to do, like eating breakfast and jogging. I like to take my time in the mornings, you know what I mean? Almost halfway on this one. I'm doing one last shot. And not liking the way this is cutting, so back to the strap. Oh yeah, probably want to do that. Not want the workpiece wandering off. Love Hold Fast. They just make everything so easy. It's really quick. Don't have to fiddle with a bunch of adjustments. Just kind of set it in place and whack it with a hammer. Wish I had some better Hold Fast though. Lee Nielsen sells some. I think I may get some of those someday. Maybe about the time I build my next bench. And then all of my dog holes will be, and Hold Fast holes, and all the holes are going to be 3/4 inch instead of this weird amalgamation that I've managed to cobble together. So I've got some 3/4 inch holes. I've got some what is that, 11/16 holes. I think I've got one 7/8 hole because I've got a single Hold Fast that's just a little bit bigger, so it won't fit in the 3/4, so it's like 7/8, something like that. It's a monstrous Hold Fast, and it works really well. I'm not about to bore a bunch of extra holes in the bench top just to accommodate one Hold Fast. Got one hole for it here, if I can. Right over there. That's the big Hold Fast. And I also use that that hole for the doweling plate. The dowel plate, the biggest size dowel I can make from that is 3/4. So you want something a bit bigger than 3/4 for it to pass through. And you want to give the plate as much support as possible. So you don't want it like hanging off the edge of the bench or anything like that. Although if I'm going to be building another bench, not going to have that 7/8 hole, so probably I think I want to have an auxiliary bench underneath my French cleats back there. And I'll have, you know, a sharpening station, well, a dowel plate holder, and a place for those to pass through. And just things of that nature. And we're through. Something tells me I'm going to have a lot of fitting to do for this one. My dovetails never fit the first time. Left angle, follow the right angle, straight down the middle. I'm probably getting close to getting through on this one. There we are, gap number 2. Now, I've come out of Sprite. I'm just certainly getting to that time where I'm sweating profusely and I'm running out of things to say. Most likely, both of which are the result of not being in an air-conditioned shop. I'm hoping my content quality will get a bit better when fall comes. As it gets a bit difficult to concentrate in this heat. And I can't just stream in the evening because the humidity is pretty bad here, so it stays that way even in the evenings. I think I'd have to start streaming at about 2 in the morning in order to make up for that. Oh, are we done? We are done with that guy. All right, there is the tailboard for B. And yeah, I do believe that's about all of the cutting we're gonna do. Because it is just way too hot and I'm too thirsty and I'm probably not gonna get much done anyway if I continue going. But I do appreciate y'all joining me. Distracted Bull, thank you very much for keeping me company. And I'll be back Thursday to continue on this, and let's see. Let's see who's on today. Still trying to figure out how to make all this stuff work. Actually, let's do this. No, okay, let's see. See if there's anybody in the woodworking group. Nope. Who's playing creative? Yeah, we're getting done for the day. Do you have anybody you think I should toss you off to? That didn't, no. Pass you off to. Is she on? Didn't see her on at least not as woodworking. Oh, she's starting soon, okay. And let's see. Yeah, let's. I do apologize. I'm not very good at this this app here and the hosting and the. Let's. There we go. See if that works. Now hosting. Okay. It seems like it might be working. So take care, Bull.